What would you do if it appeared all doors were closed to you and success felt impossible? Today, I am sharing my answer to this question. Welcome to the Solo Grind, where we shine a light on the raw and real journey of being a solo entrepreneur. I am Teresa, your guide on this adventure of going it alone without a safety net and without the rule book. The grind is real, my friend, and so are the wins, the freedom, and the joy of building success on your own terms. I'm here to debunk the myths, share some laughs, and share what it takes to thrive as a go-getter, busy, doing it all entrepreneur. Hello and welcome to the Solo Grind. I am so excited to have you all here for today's episode. I am Teresa Shalhoub, the original caffeine creative, and in my day job, when I'm not recording podcasts, I am a web designer and strategist. I love working with solo entrepreneurs, helping them find the most genuine way to show up in the world and to put that into a web design. So, if that is something that you are interested in or you'd like to have a conversation about that, please feel free to reach out to me. I have all of my best contact information in the show notes, or simply go to caffeinecreative.io and book a consult. I would love to have a conversation with you. Now, this month, for those of you following along in real time, has been all about conversations. And I have been blessed with having some really good conversations here recently, which has inspired a whole month's worth of topics, which is really kind of cool in my opinion. But before we dive into the conversation that inspired today's podcast, I want to talk about conversations in general. And I know I'm using the word conversation a lot. And my English teacher, I can hear her right now, my college English professor, telling me that I am being redundant. But I promise, my friends, I have got a point to all of this. And I think it is a conversation worth having. So, one of the things that I love most in the world is honestly a really good conversation. I love the ones that I walk away from feeling really good, inspired, and encouraged. Like every other Thursday, I've got a mastermind group where I meet with a couple other ladies, a copywriter, Emily Aborn. You guys have heard her on the show. Robin, who's also been on the show actually, and our good friend Masha. And I walk away from that conversation feeling encouraged, energized, and ready to go. I also love the conversations that are a little bit more challenging. And I'm not talking about a conversation that is arguing with ignorance. I'm not talking about being browbeat with somebody's opinion. I'm talking about a good, open conversation where both parties are able to speak and be heard even if they don't agree. I love these conversations, even though they can be a little bit more challenging and difficult. I love them because they help remind me of things from my past and sometimes help me see them from a whole different perspective. They help me see the world from a different angle, a different viewpoint that I never would have been able to consider. And they can even challenge my beliefs. And I don't mind having my beliefs challenged. To me, when my beliefs are challenged, I have an opportunity to either solidify my beliefs with this new information that has come forward, or to maybe shift my beliefs because of the new information. And I love that. It is part of growth, in my opinion. So I welcome these really deep, great, meaty conversations, even when they touch on the world's ideas of things you shouldn't talk about. I love them. Now, granted, I don't want to have these conversations every minute of the day. I don't always want to be challenged. Sometimes a girl just wants to talk about her puppies or the bourbon that she's going to be drinking on a Friday evening. But I do welcome these conversations. And I think that as a world, from my own personal viewpoint of the world looking in, I think we've made it a habit of shying away from these conversations a little bit too much. There seems to be a pattern of well intentioned fake positivity when it comes to having conversations. And we focus more on how we're supposed to show up. And I'm using air quotes for those of you listening, just listening to the podcast. Um, we feel like we have to show up and be loving and kind and encouraging and supportive. And even when we don't feel that way inside, we feel like that is the face we have to put forward. Now, there's nothing wrong with being loving and kind and supportive. That absolutely has its place. And sometimes our opinion is not necessary or even asked for. And I get that. Sometimes we just need to be the listeners, and that is okay as well. But instead of instantly gravitating to the sharing whatever positivity affirmation we most recently saw on social media, what if we just paused for a moment and leaned into this discomfort and had the difficult conversation? We could lean into that discomfort and allow the other person to feel it and simply share what they have to say and not offer our opinion or try to fix anything. Or we could, if we're asked our opinion and asked to participate, we could share what we're really thinking, what we're really feeling. And even if it's not really what they want to hear, okay? For me, I love those kinds of conversations because they really help me put life into perspective. And again, when somebody challenges the way I see the world, it just makes me a better version of myself. So, what if we had discomfort? What if we listened to the crap of someone's life and let them have that moment and not try to fix it? What if, when our opinion is asked, we share what we really feel versus what we think we're supposed to say based on whatever societal rules we follow? So that brings us to the conversation that inspired today's topic. And recently I was asked, what would you do if it appeared all doors were closed to you and success felt impossible? Okay. It's a really great question. And I'm going to answer that in just a few minutes. But first, I am going to share with you a little bit of a backstory. So, I was having a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and this person is really, really struggling in life. To be completely honest and direct, this person is in the shits of life and having a very hard time seeing their way out of it. Now, they are there because they made some bad choices. We've all been there. We've made some bad choices. But sometimes we can't outrun the consequences of those choices. And sometimes the consequences are really big and really hefty. And because of that, there are a lot of doors closed to this person. Okay. Um, these doors are closed as a result of things that they did and whatever. We don't need to harp on that. But because those doors are closed, this person is considering doing something that honestly, I, in my personal opinion, think will undermine everything he has done to get his life back together. Okay. And I think it's a really bad idea. And he actually reached out and asked my opinion specifically. What should I do? What is your opinion? Okay. Now, what he's considering is not going to put him in jail or anything crazy like that. Okay. But there are decisions that we make in our life that undermine the our mindset growth, the growth of our mindset. How do I want to say that? Growth of mindset. They undermine the person we're becoming, especially when we're in the worst part of our life and we are really struggling to get out of that. We want sometimes the easy way out is not the best way out. It's one that is going to undermine everything we've done to try and become a better person. And that's honestly what this person is facing. Now, I don't need to get into a story or the details of a story. That is his story to tell when and how he chooses to do so. But this conversation was a really good one. And in this conversation, I was faced with my own choice. Do I be supportive and empathetic to the struggles that he is facing? Okay, which is what a lot of people would think you should do. I need to be supportive, it's not fair, yada, yada, yada. Or do I be honest and real? Okay, so if you know me even just a little bit, or if you've heard a couple of episodes here, you probably can guess what choice I actually made. While I can be incredibly supportive and empathetic, and I like to be an encouraging person, it is not my goal in life to be a nice girl. Okay. I'm not that person who is always going to do and say the right thing that is expected of me. I am going to be very real. I want people to know exactly who I am in any situation and not have to question which version of me is going to show up for the conversation. I remember a time in my life when I tried to be somebody different for every person in my life. I tried to be a different version of myself. Quite honestly, that was exhausting. Okay. Some people don't like every aspect of my personality, and that is okay. I've learned to be comfortable with it. But I am always real because I cannot be everything everyone thinks I should be. So when they asked my opinion, I was very open and honest. And honestly, I think what happened was they really wanted my permission to make these choices because they weren't real happy with my my opinion, what I thought. And finally, after lots of typing, because this was a written conversation, a chat conversation, um, they posed the question, or they said this simply: every single day, every single rejection is another nail in my coffin. Tell me, what would you do? Okay. So great question. What would I do? What do you do when it feels like every door is closed to you? As a solo entrepreneur, you have a lot of doors closed to you, okay? Especially when you're just starting off. You have not established yourself as a brand, as a business, as a go to trusted resource. You are just getting started. And there are a lot of doors closed to you. And sometimes you feel like every single door is closed, but they're not. So, here, if I am faced with, and when I have been faced with a situation where I feel every door is closed to me, here's what I would do. I would try every door that is closed to me again and again and again. I would be looking for new doors to try and getting out there each and every day, relentlessly looking for an opportunity to go and to succeed. I would have my best smile on and gratitude in my heart, as hokey as that sounds. And I would have that gratitude for each and every person who took the time to at least speak to me. I would say to myself with every tiny opportunity, sweet, this is one step closer to making things happen. And every single time the poor me feelings and the victim mindset would creep in, because it does, and it's been there, and I deal with it still. Every time that would come up to me, I would set a timer and let myself feel the feels. I would feel the pity and the poor me and all of the ickiness that comes with that. And I would set that timer for 60 seconds and feel it all. And when the timer dings, I would take a deep breath, smooth down my hair because it's probably standing up, and I would get out a pen and paper and I would focus on gratitude for another 60 seconds. For 60 seconds, I would write down every single thing that I am grateful for, even if I had to fake it in the beginning. I would do it. This is one of my favorite exercises. And I would do that until I felt the gratitude in my heart. And then I would take a walk and I would let a new idea come to me and start making plans for what comes next. Because what I am pursuing is not going to be easy, but it is going to be possible. I would personally stop whining about how hard life is and unfair. Yes, life sucks for all of us at some point, and it is unfair for all of us at some point, but whining never moves us forward. Instead, I would surround myself with only things that lift me up and help me believe that I can recover from the crappy situation that I am in. I would listen to every podcast, audiobook, song that inspired me to want to have and be more. And then I would listen to them again and again and again and again. I then would acknowledge that no is an opportunity. And this thought actually came from another conversation that I had just a few days ago, where a client of mine said she always welcomes a no in a sales call because no was a clear direction. Maybe you can't address no. There's a reason they said no. And now you have an opportunity to have a conversation as to why it is no. And in that moment, now that you know why it's no, you can either offer up an alternative solution that is a better fit or realize that you don't have the right fit for that person and you can move on from each other with respect for each other. My friends, I believe that we are not on this planet for an easy ride. We are here to grow, to learn, and evolve our soul, and that doesn't happen in the good moments. It happens in the really crappy moments. The moments are these good moments. Sorry, I'm getting stumbled on my words, but the good moments that we have, to me, are gifts that we receive when we do the hard work to grow and be a better version of ourselves. So if what you are dreaming of and pursuing is really worth it to you, you will find a door that isn't fully closed. You will find a door that is not locked, that is cracked open. You will find a way to get through. You just have to keep looking. All right. So that is it for this week, my friends. Next week, I have one more deep conversation planned for you. And I think it's going to be a goodie, but I'm going to save that for next week. Until then, I wish you all a fabulous week ahead. And I cannot wait to connect with you again very soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Solo Grind. I hope this episode brought you some inspiration and encouragement. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, and feel free to share. For more tips and insights, visit caffeinecreative.io. Check out my blog or explore the Creative Vault, my free course library. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'd love to hear how this episode has helped you.